Carry on my wayward son.
I didn't even need to make that bookish. It already was. Off to a great start. Hey everybody, my name is Michael from Team Epic Reads, and you're watching the November Book Haul. So last month, I was disappointed in myself for not being as festive, and this month I promised I'd do better. And just check out how festive this button down is. Doesn't it just scream November? I think so. And speaking of November, and fall in general, it gets colder these months. And you know what you need when it gets colder? Coffee and or tea to keep warm. It's a good thing we have these new Epic Reads mugs. Glug, 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 glug. Don't mind me, I'm just drinking from them. We've got this cool one that has an octopus holding a bunch of books that says bibliophile. And we have this cool I have no shelf control one that matches the shirt we have. Glug, glug. That's some good tea. So now let's talk about books. As always, I'm gonna start off this video by talking about the Year of Epic Reads monthly reading challenge. If you don't know what that is, description will be in the links down below. And so for the month of November, the challenge was to read a book judging by its cover. And so I picked up an early copy of Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera, and I looked at this cover and said, this is gonna A, have phoenixes, and B, be epic. And so far, I judged correctly. This book has been awesome. It follows two brothers who sort of find themselves at the center of a war generations in the making. And that's all I'll say for now, but good choice, Michael. Thanks, Michael. So now I want to talk about some of the books we have coming out this month. And the first book I'm going to talk about is The How and the Why by New York Times bestselling author Cynthia Hand. And so I've read a lot of Cynthia Hand in my time, from The Afterlife of Holly Chase to My Plain Jane and My Lady Jane, which she co-wrote, and I've always really enjoyed her work, and so I'm very excited for this. It's a very emotional tale about a girl whose parents are fantastic. They've provided everything she's possibly wanted, but she's adopted, and she has everything she needs, but she's questions of like where she came from, and that's something that they can't answer for her. But it's told in alternating perspective of 18 years ago, someone wrote her a series of letters that she's using as clues to figure out these questions that she has, and oof, powerful and beautiful, beautiful cover. So the next book I'm going to mention is Hero by Michael Grant. This is the final book in the spin-off series to the Gone series, so this finale has been a long time coming and an epic journey. And in the original Gone series, this dome fell over Perdido Beach and everyone over a certain age disappeared, and everyone who was left got these mutated powers. And what they did with those powers was either good or really terrible. And so that all went down, the dome went down. I'm not gonna tell you how things ended for those characters, but this is a spin-off series where the mutations have sort of leaked out and are affecting other people, and it's 4 years later, and in this finale, it's a pretty follow-through line that some people who get powers are gonna do terrible things with them. And so this follows old characters, some favorites, and some new characters as they have to, once and for all, stop a very bad person and sort of save everybody using their abilities in this really, really dark and interesting world. So then I have The Skyweaver by Kristen Ciccarelli, and this follows a soldier and a pirate who can travel through dimensions who also happen to be sworn enemies, but for this final book in this series where they've all sort of been companions with a story that strings through, these two must put their issues aside and team up to find Asha, the last Namsara. And so definitely would recommend reading the first two books beforehand, but also an epic fantasy. So the next book I'm going to talk about is Tears of Frost by Brie Barton, and I want to read the tagline to this. It is, "When the moon is weeping, witches do their reaping." I don't know about you, but that sounds perfect for the season that we're currently in right now. And this is the sequel to Heart of Thorns. It's a series about witches, in case you couldn't tell, and it follows one particular who just came back from the dead and their mind's a little hazy, which I guess tends to happen when that happens to people, and another character who is deeply betrayed by their mom, who runs into someone that they themselves wronged. They killed their sister, and so these three end up in the Snow Kingdom for revenge and freedom, but nothing is quite as it seems. And it's just this really, really epic fantasy series, you guys. So the next book I have is The Crown of Oblivion by Julie Ashbaugh, and this follows a girl who is a surrogate to a princess, which means any punishment that the princess earns happens to her. And her one way out of the situation is to enter the Race of Oblivion. And what this is a competition race where anyone who enters has their memory wiped, is dropped in the middle of nowhere, and has to put together clues to figure out what's happening and win this race. And so it feels very like Hunger Games meets The Maze Runner, and really epic, and I'm very interested to start reading this ASAP. And then I also want to mention A Constellation of Roses by Miranda Acevedo, and this is a novel about a girl who is convinced she can do everything on her own. She doesn't need anyone to help her, and she's got this near magical ability to pull valuables off of strangers. And everything's going okay until she gets caught, and she either has to go to jail or go live with family she didn't know she had in Kansas. And so she goes to Kansas and meets this family, and they have some near magical traits about them as well. Her aunt can bake pies that can do everything as much as cure illnesses, and her cousin can sew dresses that can reveal a person's thoughts, and she sort of feels like she fits into this family until her past comes back to haunt her, and she has to decide if she should go on the run or fight for this new future in this home that she feels like she has. So really enchanting tale. And one book I want to talk about from another publisher this month is I Had to Do It to You. I'm really sorry. This is the sequel to Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, and it follows two wizard students from a school in England who used to be enemies but are kind of now dating. It's complicated, and they go on a road trip through America with one of their good friends, and it's a really fun ride. So thank you all so much for watching. Links for everything will be in the description down below. Don't forget, new mugs. I have no shelf control. Glug glug, delicious. Okay, bye.